make a
not bring up the
reprise.
context.
Don't worry.
Just to ruin everyone's lives. So, first things first, I have to show off a little bit. I got some cool shit over the break, including this awesome Beholder dice tray.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Pretty cool.
Gonna eat them.
That's pretty cool.
And a matched set of shiny metal dice. The D20, the D20 on the crit has an etching of a beholder, which you're not going to be able to see, but just believe it's there.
Nice.
It's super cool. So yeah, that's me showing off. So last time, it's been a little while, guys. I don't know if you know this. It's been, like a month, something like that.
We've been at the sanctuary for a month. We've been under siege for a month. My God.
Crap.
Yep.
But
only in real life.
Siegebreakers are pretty slow at this.
Yeah. It takes time, these things, You can't rush art.
Tossing rocks over the wall, like,
Pew,
get out of our yard.
pew. Get off my lawn, you crazy kids.
Go on, get!
So, last time around, the group of you were hearing about an immense winter storm that was brewing, and the Uvari kind of recommended that you not try and cross the mountains during this storm because it would be treacherous, to say the least. However, instead of just waiting it out, you all correctly deduced that a place such as this, with this old technology, would certainly have some way to teleport. However, the reason this was not brought up was because their teleportation circle was in somewhat of disrepair. They sent you on a quick little side quest to a dragon's lair, although you didn't know it was a dragon's lair at the time, I think.
No.
No.
To a cave down on the northern edge of the Ulvengart range. Upon kind of reaching this cave, you notice a quadruplet of kobolds with sapphires studded in their otherwise scaly flesh, keeping watch outside of the cave. You coerce them into helping you out, and they give you some information as to what their draconic overlord enjoys. Tree, Stump, Rock, and Montgomery are the four you
Yes, the best one.
Yes. And they tell you jokes and game, like food, gamey food, are among the best things to present this sapphire dragon with as tribute. I think there was one other thing too, but it was... I think it was just that he was very much demanding of respect. So you couldn't be openly rude or antagonistic towards it, or he would, crunch you up and eat you for lunch.
Shiny things too.
Yeah. Shiny. Well, all dragons like shiny things. That's a given.
Yeah.
But sure. So shiny things, food, and jokes. So of course the resident jokester Wartalk comes to bear, bringing up his best puns. There is a quick hunt for some game that the kobolds actually join you on and prove themselves surprisingly worthwhile to have on a hunt. Eventually you meet this sapphire dragon with your various goods to present to him as offerings in exchange for some of the lapis lazuli that is within his cave that could be used to be ground up and make the pigment required to repair the teleportation circle. The dragon finds your offerings acceptable and does indeed initiate a trade with you, allows you within the mine behind where he makes his home, and allows you to take some of his precious lapis away from him. Returning to the Secretarium, you find yourselves working on repairing this transportation circle when guards from higher up in the Secretarium on its parapets, they're not quite parapets per se, but on the towers of the Secretarium, they notice a group of creatures approaching from the east. Calling out, you and the other Ulvari go to the battlements of the Secretarium, look out, and find yourselves approached by a detachment of Danish soldiers, among them 2 Drakers, dragon-mounted warriors who their reputation somewhat precedes them as being elite and powerful fighters that are supported by elite and powerful infantry on the battlefield. The Ulvari begin preparing the fortress for siege, and you all assist in what ways you can, helping to stock soldiers, outfit them, getting yourselves ready for the fight, etc. I believe where we left off, Travian was taking you towards the fight, expecting that while some of the older Ulvari and those tasked with manning the siege-breaking weapons, such as the ballista and smaller, like tower-mounted trebuchets, stay up on the higher levels, you all have descended to the ground floor, preparing yourselves for any forces that might find their way through cracks in the defenses and get inside the fortress. So, as we resume the action, the group of you with Travian are waiting in a sort of atrium, one of the rooms close to the outside of the Secretarium, just kind of waiting with bated breath. No sounds of battle have yet started. And as you're kind of making last-minute preparations, checking all of your gear and preparing, of a sudden you hear a voice boom out. It seems to be magically amplified, and the sound kind of echoes so broadly that you can clearly hear the words being spoken in an unfamiliar voice. Erivari soldiers, surrender this keep at once, or we will be forced to take it in the name of his unparalleled majesty, Dain the 16th of... Hey! Get him! The magically amplified voice suddenly cuts out.
What the fuck?
And you begin to hear the clopping of hooves. The muffled clopping of hooves because it's snowy outside. And they get closer and closer and louder. And then another sound comes to your ears, that of metal boots hitting against wooden floor. Very close. You look for the direction of the sound and notice that it is echoing down a hallway that leads right into the room where you're currently standing. A couple of moments pass as the footsteps get louder, and then from the hallway, you see a figure emerge, just sprinting as fast as he can towards you. Passive perceptions.
18?
Less, like 14.
Anyone else above 15?
Maybe less.
With my eyeball, it's 18.
12. Never mind, I'm 12.
Okay.
I'm 12, and what is this?
Kayana and Jeff, you're taken aback by the sight, but you do manage to notice that this man, while wearing Danish armor, the black ebon with silver inlay that you recognize, he is not holding his weapons in a threatening way. In fact, they're kind of bundled up in his hands, sword sheathed, crossbow unstrung. And he runs into the room, throws them at the ground. And what are you all doing?
Hi.
Shocked. Surprised.
Help me! They're gonna come after me. Please, help!
Calm down, son.
That's a
What's your
crappy
name?
introduction.
He just kind of like looks
Is
wild-eyed.
Travian here?
Yes.
Is Travian here?
He is. He's beginning to kind of step forward, overcoming his own bit of shock. Son, what's the matter? You have to protect me. I don't want to fight with them. It's not right. But they're gonna come after me. They won't let me go. Please protect me. Travian beckons him forward and says, "Get behind me, son." All of a sudden.
How old does this person look?
Probably mid-20s, maybe late 20s.
Okay.
I want to insight check this lad.
Sure.
Sure. My passive insight is 18, if that matters.
Okay. So without actively checking, it's
Mhm.
he definitely to outward appearances seems sincere. But Ileana, if you want to roll,
I matched my passive.
okay, which is what?
14.
Okay,
I'll give it a shot.
so just a quick
Nope.
refresher. Passive and active skills are like it's not always a replace your active with your passive if your
Yeah.
passive is higher. There are certain circumstances where I'll let you do that, but often if I'm calling for a check, it's because the thing isn't going to be easily noticed with passive.
Fair enough.
It's something that
Fair.
you have to be like really paying attention to. I'll give examples as they come up, but like this one, if you're not like, I don't know how I feel about this, then it seems like he's, forthright. With a 14, though, you get basically the same thing. He seems terrified of the people coming after him, and he does see, like, he threw down his weapons, which is damn convincing.
Yeah, it's almost like deserting his consequences. So, like, I believe him.
Yeah, sure.
So Travian kind of beckons him forward and says, "Get behind me." And he pushes his hand outward, and you hear rather the clanging of metal as you can kind of see the light that comes from around the corner whence this soldier came kind of begin to close off and dim. Eventually the clanging stops, and you get the sense that the wall has been kind of closed up in that space to hold off any further incursions. Travian kind of looks at him, and he looks at you all, and he says, "I must speak to the elder. If any of you would like to come, you're welcome to, but if they break through that door, well, I'd rather someone be here."
We should. I think we should stay here. There needs to be some sort of defense here.
Very
It wouldn't
well.
do to leave any place this place unprotected.
You do begin to hear clanging and what sounds like a dull roar from outside of that door as...
Are we not gonna try and talk to them?
Well, that's the idea. Now that we have him, they'll be trying to come in to get him, I think, but... Well, we can use him as leverage for perhaps a treatise of sorts. Do you have a better idea? We have to act fast because they are quite literally banging at the doors.
When you say leverage, you don't mean just like handing him over, right? You're not like that. Not like that kind of leverage, right?
Depends.
Kill him.
Yeah, that's just kind of murdering him.
If it's one of him against everyone on this battlefield. But I would prefer to avoid that if possible.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll hang it here. We'll try and talk to them, and you go talk to your old guy.
Okay.
Go from there.
You watch as Travian once again waves his hand, and that familiar kind of dumbwaiter type thing appears in one of the walls in the room where you all are standing. Travian, with a little bit of like kind of prodding from the soldiers, just panic, manages to get himself and the soldier onto this dumbwaiter, and up they go, out of sight. A few moments pass. The wall seems to be holding, while the sounds of clanging metal and draconic roars still come from beyond. They don't seem to be making any significant progress. Maybe a minute and a half passes in this way until you hear a second voice, this one familiar, booming out over the snow, similarly amplified. "Hold! If you want your soldier back, you will cease now." You hear the sounds of metal begin to fade as the attack stops for the time being. The echoing voice continues. And I didn't do the voice quite right before. It's not Travians, it's the elders. I mixed that up, sorry. You know not whom you fight. We are no soldiers of Erevar. We are a power far older and far greater than any of that which this world has known. We come from before the Scouring, a great empire, the expanse of which you cannot even imagine. Lay down your arms, and you will feel our mercy. Continue to fight, and we will wipe you out like so much dust before the wind.
Nice.
Okay.
You hear the beating of wings drawing closer and closer, but just a single pair.
You know, it somehow makes sense that a civilization that's been at war for literally millennia might know a thing or two about this.
Yeah, probably.
Eh.
Probably fairly well versed.
All seems quiet for a time.
Like quiet.
And then that door opens again. Emerging from the dumbwaiter is Travian, the elder Ulvar, the soldier you saw before, and another soldier. This one in gleaming obsidian armor with just incredibly delicate inlay. Like, the scroll work upon his pauldrons is of some of the finest make you've ever seen, with this filigree that seems to gleam in even the low light within this room. His pauldrons and the tops of his cuisse are kind of carved in what look like dragon's wing pattern. Not carved, wrought in dragon's wing pattern. The four of them kind of approach the group of you. And the elder comes forward and says, "It is an interesting situation in which we find ourselves. They want to talk to you."
Us.
Who's
Us?
that? What? Them?
Yes.
The rest of them?
He'll speak for them for now. Gesturing to the man in the ornate dragon armor.
Pretty cool armor.
Thank you. My name is Felton. And you are the Siegebreakers, I presume.
Yes. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. And this is a siege, is all I'm saying. So, you know.
I think you'll find it was a siege.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we broke it!
Well,
Speaking with... Oh shit, I forgot the Elder Ulvar's name.
Older.
It's been too long. You know what? I'm just going to refer to him as the Elder. That's fine.
Steve.
Speaking
Grandpappy.
with... God damn it.
Marcus.
You know what?
Connor.
That one's better. That one is better, to be fair.
Marcus is better.
Kyle.
Definitely not that.
Elder comes crashing through the wall.
With a crushed monster can adhered to his forehead.
That's how he crushes all of his monster cans. Just rings straight through a wall.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I totally didn't even write it down, so whatever. Elder it is. Speaking
Elder
with
Johnson.
your elder. I did not previously know that you were here. You know, you have some infamy with some of the Danish army, and fame with other parts of it. Tell me, what did you see at the Siege of Allegheny?
What did we see again? We saw a bunch of out of character. We saw a bunch of like wraith hearts and soldiers, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, everything was on fucking fire.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Ilya's just kind of like looking between you guys, like, what the fuck did you
I'm
guys
new
do?
here.
Well, you see,
I just got here.
so there was.
Yes, I do recall the reports being that there were 5 of you.
Yep, and she wasn't even there. Yeah, no, we've lost a couple. It's fine. No, we're doing great.
I
We're
see.
all
Lost
doing
couple.
great. She's really bolstered our ranks. We're stronger than ever, ready to break anything. Heard it here first. Anyway, there are a bunch of really creepy demon dark guys, a bunch of this like normal, just angry guys, and then fire. And then we said no, and it stopped.
There's a visual aid if we want to bring it up.
Back up for just a moment. When you say
To the-
demony dark guys,
Yes.
can you
Yes.
describe them for me?
Okay, so imagine you took a guy and you kind of like ripped his heart out, and then
As you say that, he
he
kind of
turned
like
demony and darky.
his eyes kind of like light up when you say that, and then he looks downward a bit.
Familiar. Oh, he's familiar.
So it is true.
Yeah.
I thought there were rumors.
Hey. What are you
Well, that's precisely why I wanted to talk to you. Those creatures, wraithhearts, I think folks call them. There were rumors that Dain was supplementing his army with them, forcing men to fight alongside these abominations.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was vile. It was weird.
You don't approve.
Not at all. In fact, a lot of the Danish army doesn't, but most of the soldiers who still fight, they write it off as just rumors, propaganda, probably from Erevar. I wanted to hear from someone who had seen them.
Yeah.
Since
It's not
everywhere, too.
propaganda.
Why would you believe us if we're an arrow?
Well, not all of you are from Erevar, are you? Word travels quickly, you know, when you do things like you.
Right. Oh yeah, I guess you're from yeah, okay.
Single-handedly breaking a siege upon a major city with just 5 of you against an entire army. That does not go unnoticed.
Didn't realize our personal details would spread that fast.
Those you meet are eager to talk about you, it seems. You leave quite the impression. Well, to further bolster your trustworthiness, you may be tied with Erevar, but here you are, far north, away from the fighting, making contact with a group that claims to be from long before the Scouring. A claim most would consider to be absurd. That is,
It is an absurd claim.
unless they were to see this place.
Yeah, I don't think that.
When we approached, it seemed from afar like a normal fortress. As we grew closer, that became apparently not the case. However, we still needed a place to stay, and so we figured, well, we probably had to take it. We assumed it would be soldiered by Erevari military, and we'd have to fight.
Yeah, it's a fair assumption.
But when your elder called out, made me wonder. So, I came to talk. And here we are. So, I think if I tell my men what you've told me, they trust me to a man. They'll believe me, and I don't think a single one of them will want to fight for Darren after that. So what, pray tell, is a band of Danish soldiers far from home in the northern lands of Erevar to do without a king or country?
Find a new king and country.
Make their own.
Yeah, ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's an interesting thought. Yours, pointing to you, Wartok, was more in what I had in mind.
Yeah. Figured. I like hers, though. That's pretty cool.
Somehow I don't think King Pentrum would take kindly to a new territory sprouting up in the north of his.
It's not like anybody lives up here anyway.
Not like he'd be losing any land.
But also for a reason. Kind of looks like he's not. He kind of gestures to the outside, even though there are no windows in this particular room. Just.
we know.
Yeah.
But still, perhaps. Well, if it's not too presumptuous of me, perhaps a soldier such as myself could pledge his services to a band of heroes. If they needed him and his men, they would come. Else they would fight wherever the heroes thought it best.
Question.
Yes.
Where can you just find a random band of heroes?
I think there's like a message board sometimes, like a yield
like
Craigslist,
guilds or something.
like a Gregory's board.
Gregory, great.
The Kraken.
He looks between the two of you and says, "Well, you'll get along wonderfully with the men."
Oh, good.
Out of character, how many are there?
80.
Actually, maybe in character, how many are there?
About 80.
More than we have. We have.
So a little bit of out of character stuff here. Effectively, what I am offering you, I don't know if you guys have had the chance to look through the strongholds and followers stuff.
Nope.
But
No.
I am offering you a unit. So
Okay, yeah.
if and when you all get a stronghold that you build, you can use them to defend it, to attack other neighboring places in your province, all that kind of stuff. I swear I sent you guys the link to it. I will
Time to
resend
start a
it
war.
nonetheless, so that you can look through it. But basically, I actually already have the unit card for them written up. You would be getting a unit of heavy, elite Danish infantry. While they're commanded by the two Drakers, the Drakers don't necessarily add anything specific to the unit card. They'd just be like
We
bolstering.
got a
defenses.
Dusker battalion, guys.
Yeah, no, pretty much.
Hey,
I'm just
more battalions
surprised that
than
an entire squadron just
Stopped what they were doing.
defected. Just like that. That is incredible.
Well,
wait, what?
I
were you doing
suppose
this
you
for?
are rather. Oh, yes. I suppose. Well, how long have you been up here?
At least 3 hours.
How long have you been away from the war? It's about 3
Been
weeks.
a while.
Like 3 weeks? Is that accurate?
Yep. So, I guess a little bit of an update is in order.
Yeah, sure.
After the initial incursion, wherein the Danish army took Litterast and a few other major cities in the coastal duchy, and broke the garrison at Orgillion. That was the end, so far, of the advancements the army has been able to make. Their troop movements have been slow and sluggish, especially in the wintertime. It's been slow moving. The front line has been a stalemate for some time, but probably the chiefest factor contributing is the soldiers' morale. As these rumors run through the Danish army, more and more people are considering perhaps this war isn't just as we were led to believe.
Oh, I would very much like to understand what the motivations were.
Well, I cannot guess at what he truly is after. But if you believe what he says, Darren felt that Erevar had for too long harbored magical secrets. This Luminaire Academy in the Lake Duchy and the mages and wizards that operate thereout, out thereof?
Therein?
English. Yeah,
There-ish.
sure. Therein works. And the mages and wizards that operate therein were advancing magic beyond what the other nations could understand. He billed this to his people as a hoarding of power, a threat should it be left unchecked. He told us that this war was going to be fought in order to gain some of those secrets for Dain and Eaglin's use. We bought it. It sounded reasonable. Dain and Eaglin both lack any kind of magic school. Erevar is the only one that has delved as far as it has into the arcane arts. Sometimes we see the folks of Erevar, especially in the border cities, experiencing eases that we in Dain have not yet dreamt of. So, yes, many soldiers were willing to believe it and fight for that cause. They believed it would make an easier life for their friends and their families. But I don't think that's the case anymore. No man who would espouse such a noble virtue and truly mean it would also employ the help of demonic things like those Wraithhearts. So I promise you we aren't the only ones defecting. As to your question, war talk, correct? If
Yeah.
As to your question,
Wow.
war talk.
They know a lot about us.
Well, I have been keeping my ear to the ground, so to speak. After I heard of what you did at Allegheny, and once I made the connection that maybe you'd be able to confirm these rumors for me, I kept an ear out. I know more than most. Nonetheless, to your question, Wartalk. We had been sent northward to see if there was perhaps another route, an unguarded one, where more troops could follow and flank the Erevari army from behind, perhaps even making it to the Luminaire Academy before the bulk of the army could reach to meet us. The bulk of your army to meet us. That was our mission. It was understood that if we did not return, we had perished.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. Good. Huh.
This one here, and he gestures to the soldier now who's kind of been like wide-eyed listening to all of this.
This poor boy.
He just got info dumped just like Ilya did, who, by the way, the whole time it's still just like, just like,
We'll answer all your questions later. Don't worry about it.
We should probably have a bigger bonding time where we like really explain fucking everything to Ilya.
Probably.
I just thought you guys were treasure hunters.
Ah.
Well,
Like,
we are, but
I just thought you guys were on the Antique Roadshow.
Well,
Fulvin gestures to the other soldier and says, "This one, Innis. Well, I owe you an apology, first of all." He kind of smiles a little sadly. "I wanted to confirm what you were thinking, but, well, I couldn't do so without confirmation, or risk having the rest of the soldiers believe something that might not be true. And if that had cost them their lives or their posts and livelihoods, then, well, I never could have forgiven myself." And Innes kind of looks at him and like, he just, "Captain Fulvin, I understand, but how long have you been sitting on all of this and not told anyone?" Fulvin kind of, How long ago was Alleghane? A month? A month and a half? I suppose it's been about a month, but, well, Innes here was having the same misgivings as I've quoted many of Danish soldiers having. He didn't believe that Dain was fighting a just war. He believed the rumors that these Wraithhearts were among the core. He didn't like it, but he knew that the punishment for desertion is death. I hate that I had to allow you to live in that fear for as long as you did, but, well, hopefully now it's relieved somewhat." And Ennis kind of rubs his forehead and says, "Aye, sir, it is, but, oof. Well," he kind of looks at you guys. "What do we do now?"
do you know anything about what happened at the Duke's Moon?
I wasn't there. Fulvin kind of ponders for a moment and says, "I heard
What is
some..."
the story that Dain has been telling about the Duke's?
Oh, the invasion of the Dukesmoot was very much a planned and, well, broadcasted after the fact. Of course, not before, or that would have given the plan away. But he owns it. His justification is that by denying Erevar king, the weakened power structure will allow them to come in, finish the war quickly, and put someone on the throne that Dain believes will further the interests that the war is being fought for. The story is being sold
After
to
the
the...
fact.
Hmm?
Oh no, sorry. You go on ahead. Sorry.
The stories being sold to the people are, well, they're good. He has someone working with him who really knows their way about people's hearts. Or maybe it's all from him. I don't know. Uh, well, I know this is a lot to take in, but I need to go and address my troops. You're...
Yeah, you go do that. We got to figure out some stuff.
And, just so you're aware, the Elder has been so kind as to offer us a place to stay until we find our next destination. So we'll be here if you have any questions.
Cool. Um. Well, good luck with the troops, I suppose.
Tell them we said hi.
I will. Thank you. He and Innes leave through the hallway whence Innes came initially.
Once they're gone, I'll just turn to everyone and say, like, well, that wasn't the way I expected how things were gonna go.
It's exactly what I expected to happen.
No, it wasn't.
No,
I
it wasn't.
mean, I guess I got the result I wanted, just not the way I expected it to happen.
Yeah.
We
You
didn't fight.
murder everyone. Yeah.
I really
Always
did
a
not
plus.
want to do that.
Travian kind of nods and says, "It seems we have quite a bit to learn from you." He kind of looks between like all of you. Had it just been us, we wouldn't have offered the treaty.
See.
That
So out of
seems
curiosity,
wow.
Well, when
Like-
someone approaches your home, armed to the teeth with two
Yeah.
flying dragons,
with dragons being like, "We're gonna kill you." Yeah.
Sure, yeah, but no negotiations whatsoever.
not if they
Sometimes
attack.
that's just how it goes. War.
Not
But
if
they
they
didn't-
attack.
So I'm curious. If they approached here and you're like, "Gotta do what you gotta do," and you just started killing them, how fast would you have killed them all? Just out of curiosity, like if you had to estimate.
He kind of thinks on it for a moment. Battle wouldn't have lasted more than a minute.
Yo!
Oh man.
Nice.
So, to put it in perspective, I don't know how much these numbers will mean to you guys if you haven't looked at the strongholds and followers stuff, but since they are in their own fortress, I used the quick warfare rules to calculate what would have happened.
Sure.
So the cost for the Ovari unit was 480 points, or gold, depending on what exactly you want to do with it. And the Danish knights, which are called dreadnoughts, they were 370, so more than 100 less. Given that the Danes were on enemy land, and the Uvari were rested, well supplied on their homeland and in a fortress that they owned, they were 110%. Like their bonus to their roll was 110. So you roll percentile dice, and they would add 110. The Danes add 0. There was literally no way the Danes would win, ever. They could roll a 100, and the Ovari could roll a 0, and the Ovari would still win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a pretty big victory.
Yeah, fairly one side. Okay.
Would the Ovari have considered a surrender?
Once they had lost about half of their units, they would have
Who
retreated.
keeps getting text messages?
Me, I'm on call. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carry on.
I'm sorry you're
Don't worry,
on call.
it's just my god. Don't worry about it.
Pick up.
Call me back, dang it!
I'll just,
You're like, nah.
I'll turn off the ringer. I'm just putting it in front of me. I'll just have to notice if it actually goes off.
Okay.
So yeah,
Alright.
like surrenders. You okay with that? Where you
Sure.
stand there. Okay.
We're not going to kill a retreating foe. I fear you misunderstand me. If someone is attacking our home, we will kill them without hesitation. But if they're not attacking our home, we're not going to kill them. The situation I was talking about was this man runs in, Innes, I suppose his name was, and a whole detachment of troops comes after him. That's the beginning of a fight, in my mind.
Yeah,
Got a point.
I see where you're coming from, but you know, we'll work on it. We'll do some workshops. You know,
You didn't see owl
Don't worry
bears
about it.
giving someone a warning,
yeah, but
protecting their home.
outdoors are delicious, so I don't really care.
They are
Okay.
pretty tasty.
You know, we might be delicious too. I don't know. If we're the owl bear in this situation, I don't.
No. Ilya, calm down. Wait, was Travian just staring at
Okay.
Ilya that whole time?
He's talking about cannibalism.
Yes.
I don't know what y'all
Yeah.
motherfuckers are going for.
I was
Our
under.
player characters in a D&D campaign. Of course we're talking about being horny.
Okay, that's fair, yeah.
I understood
No.
cannibalism.
I mean,
Yeah,
I absolutely understood
I
it
was,
too.
No, it
I was
was-
also thinking cannibalism.
It was cannibalism, and we don't do that because he said, I don't know if we're delicious or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I suppose have you never made a cannibalism joke in your life? Never.
Also we have no bards in the party. To make that clear.
I hang around with 20-year-olds all day. What kind of jokes do you think they're making?
No, I mean, I totally get where,
Okay,
like,
fair
it's
enough.
fine. Like, Travian probably also hasn't sucked any other Wolvari's dicks. I don't know, but that is both my business and really not my business.
You
Quick,
know,
roll the percentile dice.
What is
Really
it?
need
is
to
there,
know.
is there a page dedicated to this in the Strongholds and Followers book?
No, there's not. There is a mechanic for followers.
Nick, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you
Nah,
sure though, hun?
He's straight.
Oh, okay.
Alright, Elia, you still have a chance.
All right, so that lovely little bit passed.
Yep.
He kind of looks at you. We're not warmongers. Well, we're warmongers, but only if people are like fighting us.
Okay. Yeah. No. That's fair.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think being able to defend your home is reasonable. Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel weirdly judged.
No. We're not judging.
Okay.
No,
You know,
I'm not
we
arguing
don't want
against.
to kill.
I'm not arguing against self-defense.
Okay. All right. Well, in any case, I suppose you all wish to talk amongst yourselves a little, decide what to do.
yeah, we've just
Yeah.
And we have
today
some
has
work
not
cut
gone
out
how I
for
thought it
us.
would go. We need to talk about some stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Boy, oh boy,
All right.
oh boy,
So
do we
where should we
have
send our new lackeys first?
So,
Hold on now.
while you all don't have a stronghold, it might be best to commit them to the war effort. But, I mean, it is up to you guys. You all could choose something else. That's just what I had in mind while I was like, I'm going to give them this unit. They don't have a stronghold yet. What is this unit going to do? I guess they could join the war on Erevar's side.
What if we just made a new mercenary band?
You still
Ooh,
kind
make
of have to
gold
have a
for us.
base of operations.
Well, let's just all go in on a
Yeah, so
on an 84-roomed house together. We can all pay rent.
So-
I'm just saying.
that is actually like a large part of the strongholds and followers rules is strongholds. So yeah,
so
there's a
just
defined
saying-
cost for this and a time that it takes to build. All this
Yeah.
stuff is yes.
Are there defined rules for what to do when one of your followers forgets to do the dishes again for the second week?
You beat them. Just.
There aren't. No.
All right,
You
Kayana,
leave
that's
a
it.
passive-aggressive sticky note.
It says,
Alright,
do the dishes,
Diana,
please. And
In that situation, murder is fine.
it says, do the dishes, please. And when they don't do the dishes,
Travian kinda
leave
like-
a message that just says, do the dishes.
That was out of character.
Travian just eyes Jeff. He heard your
The-
thoughts.
No, he didn't. Well, maybe he did. I don't know.
You want to bet?
So no.
No.
So here's a thought, everyone. There's 80, strong young lads over there.
Strong and nubile.
I just happen to
some
have
young
found
lads.
a sapphire worth.
No. Sorry, that was a Harley night. You continue.
A sapphire worth 5,000 gold pieces.
5,000?
That's what he said. I was pretty sure.
Oh
I
yeah.
think so.
Yep. No, that's right.
Okay. 6.
Because it was in the dragon's horde, right?
Yeah.
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 Let's put a down payment on a house.
So yeah, we know an island that already has a stronghold partly started. It's my boy's home. So I mean, we could get something started there. Have these guys start it for us. Maybe get some work going, speed it up. Or they
So-
could go help save people or something. I don't freaking know.
So you did read the book. Or you're just or you're exactly the audience that Matt Colville was looking for when writing the book. He's like, this is exactly what Nick Kramer will want to do.
Figured it out. So what do y'all?
Yeah, that sounds good. I just we need to send word so that our new friends don't.
Yeah, we want to
You
make sure they
know.
don't get murdered. That would be bad.
Yeah.
That'd be super awkward.
Would putting them in a would doing all that be the best thing to do with them right now? Like, do we have time to do stuff like that when there's a war going on?
They said like the advances had kind of stopped.
Yeah, the
for
front is at
now.
a stalemate right now.
Like I think getting us a stronghold, for lack of a better term, close
Base
to the
of
front lines,
operations.
a base of operations. Thank you, Ilya. That's why we keep you around. Right near the front line, that we can try and help lead stuff from, and we can return to. I think now is a good time to get that started.
Yeah.
As far as making sure no one brutally murders them, I mean, we can, I guess, like rework some of their aesthetics to make them more like in line with what's around. Also, how long was it before the teleporter was up? I forget what he said some number.
It should be another day, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
so
he's
that,
not in there anymore. Another day, you would remember.
So I mean, that would let us get, to somebody to tell them not to murder our friend.
You could also, well, no one's there to give you that advice. Never mind. You might bring this up later to somebody who could then give you that advice. Not metagaming at all.
Hey Travian, you got any other advice for us?
Travian bamps out of nowhere. Oh, yes.
What's up?
Holy shit.
I completely forgot what you were even talking about. God damn it.
Broke the DM.
What was it?
I believe getting them not murders was what triggered your thought.
Yes. Well, you could always send them along with one of us. We are, we have a rather convincing story and some artifacts to prove it.
Fair.
Most folks would believe what we had to say.
Also, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the group. But personally, I would love to have a Novari over down by that base of operations too. That could help out with some of more advanced stuff, maybe, or even just help out in general. That would be incredible.
Roll a persuasion check.
Whew. Persuasion +5, 23.
There is wisdom in what you say, and I can't deny I'd be eager to help you. But I do have other duties to attend first.
Certainly.
If you're planning on restoring a ruin, I would imagine I'll be ready before that is complete. I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. That would be great. Yeah.
It's not a done deal yet, but this may very well lead to you all getting Travian as a follower.
Cool.
Just as an FYI, depending on what kind of stronghold you want it to be, it'll be between 6 and 10,000 gold. It's a ruin you're repairing, so half that. 3 and 5,000 gold.
I've got 5.
We got the down payment.
Oh.
And
and
between 45 and 75 days.
45 to 75 days. Okay.
Hey, yeah. Now is the time.
Especially as you're getting close to the end of winter and it will begin to thaw.
Yeah.
Let's actually find out what day it is.
Okay, if we're going to do this, we have a couple more questions we need to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So logistically, I don't know what we're gonna pick. I guess if we're basically making ourselves a base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, well, whatever base we end up making, we probably want to keep it kind of low key because we don't want it to become a target for the Danish army.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
We just
Also,
try
are
not
we?
suspicious on the side.
Travian being there will say, well, it'll be somewhat difficult to keep something like that a secret. If you're, I think you all mentioned the island, so he'll kind of have an idea where you're talking about.
Yeah. We have been mentioning.
The location is close-ish to the front, but far enough away that it would be out of their typical marching orders to come after it. But I would suspect that you won't complete the construction without them hearing about it somehow.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Hey.
we have a battalion that can help defend it.
I guess the other thing is the soldiers. Are we going to be expected to like help feed them and pay them?
There is an upkeep cost, yes. It's not insane.
How
We
much
just
is
have,
the
like-
upkeep cost?
200 and no, sorry. 185 gold every season.
So like for every 3
That's super
months.
cheap.
Yeah. So within the time that when this season ends in another 2 weeks in game, 3 weeks in game, 3 weeks in game, that will have been 1 season of game time. So 165 gold or 185 gold of what you've made so far.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
much.
Okay.
Besides, once we get everything up and running, we can just send half of them out to go be mercenaries.
Yeah.
They will
yeah,
still
we can
require upkeep, but they'll also start bringing in
also
gold.
bring some in.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, we can host a recruiting fair at our new stronghold.
That'd be a very lovely way to draw the Danish army's attention towards us.
And then we
Call
hire
it-
them. It worked with these.
That doesn't mean it's
Just
going to
call it
work
like-
every time.
Defective corp.
Oh, we gotta name them. Yes.
It's just a field trip. An extended field trip.
It's
Okay, so you got
We should
OTR
make them
covered.
all transfer students so that they're not all jealous anymore.
Oh.
Like, I feel like this is not that hard a problem to solve, especially compared to war.
Let's just make friends with the entire Danish army. What are they gonna do? Send the
Kill
army
us?
after us?
they're our friends now.
Yeah.
I mean, the king could send the demon army after us.
Okay, well now we have a whole like group of friends. We
Yeah.
have 500 people in a group chat. What
Yeah.
are they gonna do?
You guys
We
have
had
cannon
5
fodder
friends
now.
once.
I mean,
Wait. Yeah. Wait.
We
Travian.
can send
No.
we can send them to
oh, that was the
PC.
DM, not Travian.
Yeah,
That was not Travian.
I
I know which
understand.
one you
I'm
care
still
for.
like,
Oh no. I just no. Nick
Yeah.
said Travian, and I wanted to make it clear that that was not Travian.
We just take them to like player character boot camp for like a week.
Oh no.
And they all want to be murder hobos.
Exactly. And then
No.
we teleport them into the other country. Boom. There's no more other
Oh
country.
shit! Yeah, we got that teleporter up and running.
I feel like
I
that'd be a
didn't say
war
that in
crime of some
character.
kind.
I don't want to put that one into the world.
I feel
Okay.
like that would be a war crime of some kind.
No,
Yeah, that would
we're
be-
just
yeah.
we're just
Uh.
returning them. We have the receipt.
Return to sender.
But okay, so
this isn't fucking Walmart.
You're right. It's
It's
Fred
just-
Meyer.
No, it's just regular Walmart.
It's Trader Joe's.
We accept returns for whatever reason.
Now you know, viewers at home.
Wine wasn't gluten-free.
Excellent. Yes. Okay, so y'all, after chatting about your the logistics of, oh god, what happened?
Jeff has come up with our stronghold name.
Came
Jeff.
up with it.
Oh my, okay, wait, I actually need to bring the Discord up on stream for that one.
Holy shit! Yes.
That's amazing.
They're all named Joe now.
Wait a minute. This is what happened when we all got a bunch of Bobs.
We're just gonna recreate JoJo's Bizarre Adventure now.
Oh!
We'll just recruit the entire Joestar family. Dain has
Excellent.
no chance against us.
Joe!
Amazing.
Ambition is actually a Wartalk stand.
Oh, yes.
And so it shall be.
Skyhold looks like a higher level. Yeah, I think Trader Joe's is definitely the winner now.
Yeah.
Traitor.
Trader Joe's. And your
Pirate Joe's.
is your logo just the TR-8R stormtrooper in Star Wars? In
No, it's an Uno reverse card.
excellent.
It says no you.
They send a battalion at us? No, you.
No, you. They're ours now.
Amazing.
Mm.
All right. So talking about your new attaché and what to do with them, and this stronghold that Wartalk has really been stewing on for quite a while, and is finally getting a chance to really bring it to fruition. A little bit of time has passed as you all are discussing these issues, and eventually you kind of see, or you hear a bit of the walls of the Secretarium reconfiguring, and you begin to hear the marching of these 80 Danish soldiers into the keep. Travian comes to find you all and says, "We'll be a little bit occupied, making sure that these other guests are taken care of. If you'd like to continue work on the Teleportation Circle, that's not a bad idea. If you need anything specific, you can of course ask me." Kind of looks at you, Ilya. Otherwise, feel free to carry on as you please. The library is open for your use, etc.
As you please.
Well, I'm not gonna be any help at all with the teleport circle. So if Travian needs help getting the troops settled, I can do that.
I seem to remember you're quite a good cook.
Oh yeah, I guess they're gonna want food.
We could definitely use another hand in the kitchen.
Oh boy, it's probably gonna take me the majority of the day to get all that food prepared, but I guess I better start now then.
You'll have help, but yes, it'll
Sweet.
take some time.
Strongholds and Followers, Hell's Kitchen Edition. Let's go.
It's raw.
You got a red team and you got a blue team.
This food is like a wraith heart. It has no soul. Send it back.
Blue team is all Joe's. Red team is if you have another name.
There's far more blue team than red team.
So many Joes. And if any of them are disheveled, you might call them sloppy Joes. Hey!
Hey!
Oof.
That's our Black Ops core, the Sloppy Joes. They're the ones who get their hands dirty.
Excellent. And then the rank and file are your average Joes.
Yeah, exactly. This entire mechanic is just gonna become
Dude,
one
this
giant
is,
dad
I mean, this
joke.
is the best decision we've ever made in calling it now. However, I am continually amazed by this entire conversation.
Good.
Anyway, I can help finish up the teleportation circle. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Nerd power.
Hell yeah. Once that is situated, I want to keep talking to that commander.
To Fulvin.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go with.
I'll
Also, I
Go
swear to
join
God,
Jeff
his
at that
name
point.
changed, but I like Fulvin better.
Fulvin is.
Just so that any
Jeff
viewers
is-
who are particularly astute and noticed it are vindicated. They're right. I did change it, but I'm going with Fulvin.
Oh, finally a time to break out this gif. I've been sitting on it for ages.
Oh no. Ah, nice.
That's amazing.
9-9. Such a good show.
Alrighty. So Jeff is going to make a whole bunch of chili for dinner. Kayana and Wartok are going to the teleportation circle room to continue fixing that up. And Ilya, what are you going to be up to?
I mean, do you guys need another spellcaster with that
Always.
circle?
Can't wait.
Cool.
Nerd bonding time.
Now the alternative, you know.
So all right. Huddle around. All right, guys. All right. So he said that if we need anything, we can ask him. So what we do is we bring him in for a question. Ilya just kind of goes and asks him a question off to the side about, I don't know, just get him talking. You two kids.
Where were you going with this?
Alone time with Travian.
You made it sound like this would be a distraction.
No. That's
Well,
as
you know-
far as I got, to be honest.
Well, you're not going to get up to some shenanigans. Because I was down on this until you stopped.
Well, now I kind of want to get up to some shenanigans. Ooh, I could spike some of the. No, I already did that one.
What?
Hmm?
Jeff dies
Jeff's
a little
not
on the
here.
inside wherever he
Normal.
is.
Jeff's not here.
Yeah, Jeff's not
Jeff's
here. He's
just
not
in it.
cooking.
There's something amiss.
His just
My
his
vortex senses are
his
tingling.
tongue starts to tingle in the kitchen. He's like, something's off.
Well, the
Chopping.
cook is like, "Hey man, you okay?" He's just like, "Yeah, old wounds. Don't worry about it." How'd you get him? I
Chopping
don't want to talk
onions.
about it.
Just keep the glasses away from me.
Yeah, you're on Drake duty tonight. I'm not handling that part.
Do you have any shenanigans?
Fair enough.
Thought of any shenanigans?
I don't have any shenanigans prepared. I was prepared for serious business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was prepared for a full-out war. Don't know about you two.
Yeah.
I was just kind of rolling with the punches. Or stabs. Or whatever.
Or tentacles, in your case.
Yeah. You get it. Get it. Alright, well I guess let's go build a teleportation circle.
All right. So, let's see. No, I feel like there should be a check associated with this. All three of you make Arcana checks.
I'm gonna use my rainbow die.
Hey, me too.
Hey, I recognize that.
Yes, and I rolled in the wrong fucking place. That's 16.
Nice.
What did you say, Arcana?
Yeah.
30d20.
Okay.
5.
Okay.
Nice.
Listen, she's not smart. She's just religion cop.
Look, I love her.
Uh,
Sorry.
Also, though, like Travian comes in at one point to check in on you guys, and Ilya just kind of gets distracted.
Shit!
So she's not as much help as she might be, but the two of you do a pretty darn good job of working through the remainder of what's left, and short of not quite knowing exactly how to use the teleportation circle, it's probably about ready
Cool.
by like the end of the day's work.
All right
I
then.
suppose we can always ask tomorrow how to use it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can figure that out after everyone's like fed and rested.
Yeah. Can
See
save
if they
that
have
for
an
later.
instruction booklet.
Ilya, did you want to do anything while you were distracted by Travian?
No!
Okay.
Not fuck up the teleportation circle.
I can stop giving you these chances if you're not interested.
She listen.
You don't actually
She
have to
doesn't
respond to that.
know.
All right. So, Jeff, what are you up to in the kitchen? Making some
Making chili.
Cool. Anything you want to do other than that? The cook's in the kitchen with you. There's a couple of Danish soldiers. I'd say probably 3 of them are handy enough in the kitchen. 1 woman, 2 guys. And then a male and a female Uvari are in there. So 6 cooks total. You could talk with any of them while you're making things if you so choose.
If there's if any of the Danish soldiers are helping out, I might chat with them a little bit. Just kind of small talk. I don't want to pry too much. It's been a weird day. Like,
Yeah.
what's life like in Dain since the war started?
Oh, since the war started. Actually, which one are you asking? The woman is a human woman, and then there is a tiefling man and a half elf man.
Roll for it, I guess. I'll ask the tiefling man.
Okay. Well, since the war started. Well, I got conscripted from my village, small town called Villicomp. Not Villicomp. Crud. Village names. Hey guys, this is coming off the top of my head. I'm sure you couldn't tell.
Steve.
That's
Steve
definitely
the village.
That's definitely not a village's name.
It could be.
Where are you?
Grenulon.
Maps. Stand locations. Fake. What do you call it? There we go.
Town.
That's the one.
Pluto.
I was conscripted from my small town called Valenford.
It's way better than what we said.
It's just a little place just on the southern border of the Dain River. My wife had passed away a little while ago. Sickness. Never had any kids, so I didn't have much to leave behind. The military actually seemed an attractive prospect at first. And, truth be told, Captain Fulvin is, well, he's a wonderful man to serve under, honestly. He's full of conviction. But it's been hard, even with a man like him leading us. It's not easy. You know, the battles we've had to fight, the things we've had to do. It's never felt quite right. And so hearing what Captain said about those Wraith Hearts and this war not being just, it struck a chord with me. Kind of fit everything into place. But day to day, I suppose, life as a Danish soldier isn't too different from life of an Aravari soldier. You wait in camp during the night, wondering if tomorrow will be your last day. During the day, you obey orders. You march, or you take up position around the camp or wherever you happen to be. It's not glorious, but keeps my belly full, and well, then every now and then you find somebody like you guys give us something maybe a little bit more worth fighting for. Something that, even if I wonder if the next day is going to be my last, maybe it's worth it. Maybe I'll die, but I'll die fighting for something that matters. Because to hear it, it sounds like you guys are trying real hard to fight against the injustices in this world. And that,
We're,
I like that.
well, we're doing our best. Truth be told, I didn't come from a whole lot either.
Yeah?
Was a farm boy growing up, more or less.
I was a fisherman. It's about all there
Respectable
was
calling.
in that little town.
A
Well,
respectable calling. I love fish. Fish are great.
yes, they are. But, you know, they're nothing without a little homegrown vegetables on the side, right?
Ah, indeed. Yeah. Blend the two together. Just nice, simple, good food.
The name's Brennan. Holds a hand
Yeah,
out
nice
towards you.
to meet you. I'll shake his hand.
Very good to meet you too, Jeff.
Anyway, I suppose I should elaborate. I was admittedly a little bit curious to know what Dain was like, especially after the war started. I've known some people that also deserted the Danish army.
Well, it's certainly more common now. How long ago did your friends desert?
This was a long time ago. I don't even remember how long ago.
Oh.
Sounds like they're sounds like his commanding officer. He hasn't told me much about it, but from what I do know, it sounds like his commanding officer wasn't as much of a stand-up guy as yours was, shall we say?
Yeah, there's a few. You know, every army has good folks and bad folks in it. It's a group of
Mm-hmm.
people just like any other. You'll find good men, bad men, and everything in between. I've been lucky. Most of my commanders have been good men.
Good to hear.
You know anything more about this, not so good one?
Fortunately, that's about all I can tell you. My friend never told me much about it.
Well,
Regardless, you're very right that I guess there's some bad apples in the world, but there's just as many, if not more, good people in this world.
one
Those
can
people
hope.
are worth. I think those people are worth fighting for and worth ending pointless, stupid wars like this one for.
Well, let's hope it ends sooner rather than later.
Agreed.
Yeah. You know, come to think of it, I heard something, kind of recently, about a bad egg.
I see.
There were, another group. I guess not, it almost sounded like you guys at first, but it definitely wasn't, considering the place and the time. But, Opetro, a city just a little bit south of the border. Further east than my hometown, but nonetheless another little river city, just like mine.
Mm-hmm.
There was a general there. His name was, I want to say Christoph. General Christoph.
See.
He, well, he became pretty famous pretty quickly, or infamous, I should say, for treating the people like little more than livestock. Really didn't care a whit about anybody who wasn't in his unit. So the citizens of Apatro, they didn't like him at all, but they couldn't do anything about it. Then this group of people comes in, and I don't know, they cause a bit of trouble to hear it from the start. Um, but eventually, they actually help save the town when Kristoff and his like are nowhere to be seen. The soldiers, they helped fight, but not the commanding officers. Apparently, an enormous worm, as purple as the twilight sky, just erupted
knew it.
from the ground outside of this city. Just
Ooh.
started attacking it. But these people, the Keepers of Fate, I think they were called, they rallied the troops that Kristoff had been commanding and defeated the worm. And then, for that service, the city forgave them the trouble they caused at the beginning, and they were lauded as heroes. Although, to hear some tell it, the trouble they caused was just being wanted by the king. And if we can believe what you've told us about the king today, well, maybe they aren't the bad guys anyway. Maybe they didn't really cause any trouble.
Well, I see that they're not the. I guess we're not the only group with an interesting name in town, I suppose.
Did oh gosh, what was her name?
Who are you thinking of?
Devil Lady, Azareth.
Azareth.
Did she ever? Did she ever tell us their group name? Now I know I'm not here, but
I think she did.
Yeah, I think. Well,
I think it was specifically when I had just joined.
it was.
I don't know if she told you the name. I know she told you that they existed, but I don't think she actually said their name.
Jeff is just gonna think about it for a moment. He's like,
Let's say
But
that
did
she did.
wait.
Let's say she
Didn't
did.
she tell us about the worm?
Yes.
Okay, so.
So wait, I was there for that. I would have known about that.
Yep.
Yes.
I just kind of like go like slack-jawed for a little bit as I remember that being told this from the devil lady. I'm just like,
Everything okay?
oh yeah, I was just remembering something. I might have actually heard about this incident from someone else before.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy story, huh?
Oh, you're telling me, man. You are telling me.
Well, but hey, I guess it means that there's more folks like me who they might be in the Danish army, but they're not trying to. Well, they're not bad people, and they're not buying into. They might buy into the story, but if they knew the truth, I think they'd stop fighting.
I think there's a lot of truth to your words.
I hope so. Just wonder what we can do about it. There's people like Kristoff in the army who would put down anyone who tried to speak out against him or the king, no matter how just we were in that belief. Well, it'll take a lot to get the people to have the courage to do that.
I guess that's what we're here for, bud.
You all are inspiring, that's for sure.
Now, how we're gonna do that, can't honestly say, but we'll find a way, I suppose.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Indeed.
Weirdly anachronistic idioms. Well, this food won't cook itself, huh?
Suppose not. Say, how's your spice tolerance?
Me?
Yeah.
I love spicy food. Actually, most Danish folk have a pretty good tolerance for it.
Cool. Can you sample this for me to see if it would be a good choice for your comrades? And I will give him a sample of some chili that I made with the fruit from the elemental plane of fire.
Sure. He takes a bite or a sip/bite. He chomps down on your chili.
It's chunky.
And
Spoonful.
yeah, spoonful. It's chunky.
And kind of considers it for a moment, swallows, and then like a moment later he like his eyes kind of perk up and he goes like, "Whoa, huh? That's got some kick to it. That's really good though. Yeah, I think they'd really like it.
Oh, sweet. I'll have to make a whole bunch more of it then.
Yeah, that's a winner.
Yeah, the guys here, they got some real interesting stuff. It's really fun growing with the
Yeah, I've never
crops that they have
seen
here.
some of these ingredients. Well, yeah, it'll be fun to see what we can whip up. He goes
Indeed.
back to his work.
Yep, I suppose we'll get to it then, and we'll just get back to cooking.
Alrighty. So, a meal is had. The Danish. Actually, Jeff, go ahead and roll performance for me, just to.
All right. That is 18.
Nice. Yeah, the Danish soldiers are like over the moon about this chili. All of them are like really, really into it. Super happy with the meal, and there's a ton of it to go around, and so everybody is full-bellied and happy afterwards. Ale and mead are passed around. A little bit of a dessert is had, mostly like a berry pie kind of thing.
A
Everyone,
berry pie, not a good berry pie. I want to make that clear.
yes. Uh, but an excellent meal is had by all, and merriment is close to follow, as it usually is with a good meal. The Danish soldiers aren't getting, wasted or anything, but, they got a nice little buzz going that really, that kind of provokes conversation and really picks up the tune and the pace. These soldiers that have been marching through the cold and snow for probably maybe a week.
Yeah, like these guys could probably use a stiff drink or two.
Yeah, they're pretty happy about the sustenance they're receiving now, as opposed to the hardtack and dried meat they get on the road. And the Ulvari are kind of right in along with them. Just they're enjoying their newfound freedom as well, carousing and partying right along with them. You see Captain Fulvin going up and like clapping each of his men on the back and just like beaming at all of them, exchanging words. He seems very personable with his soldiers. What would you all like to be doing?
I still want to have a conversation with Fulvin, although I'm not necessarily sure if here's the best time or place.
Sure. Anyone doing anything other than just joining in the merriment?
I'll go with Kayana.
Okay. As the
We'll probably join the merriment a little bit.
yeah.
Do a dance, Jeff.
No.
Jeff.
What do I roll for dancing?
Probably also
Performance,
performance.
Okay, I'll try to dance, I guess.
Do a little square dance, dude.
I probably have 2 left feet. Natural 1.
Oh, honey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're still cheering, but it's like an uproarious laughter, but like in good spirits kind of cheering. So they're really happy you're making a fool of yourself, but you're making a bit of a fool of yourself. But it's kind of endearing. None
He's
of
a
them are
stand-up
like,
comedian.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, he's a
Help
fall
him.
down comedian right now.
I want to help him.
You can
I'm
help him.
just like, you want to help me? How?
Yeah,
Sure.
Help you up.
I don't know.
Jeff,
fell.
roll again.
Oh, okay. Is Warthog giving me dancing tips?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Got you.
He's coaching you from the sidelines. Hey, man. It's okay.
Some
I got,
people are beyond saving.
I got another natural 1.
Oh,
Aw.
honey.
Warthog steps up and like
Point.
tries to take lead, and Jeff just like immediately falls and takes you both down.
Sorry, dude.
This is met with like more cheers of uproarious laughter, and then a few of the soldiers come, lift you both up, and kind of like surfboat or crowd surf
Okay.
you through them.
That works. I'm gonna cast Fly on Jeff.
Well,
Now
wow.
Jeff
Down
is
anymore.
tumbling clumsily through the air instead of falling.
Oh god. I'm just imagining this, like,
Excellent.
This
Jeff,
is some good shit.
Jeff is kind of embarrassed, but in his head he's thinking, this still is as bad as the time Mortok spiked my drink in front of the Duke.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
would
say,
now like to
who the
state a
fuck
wine
needs
glass.
Nightshade?
No, this is
Eat
merriment,
glass,
not a.
motherfucker.
This is merriment. We're not turning it into a rave.
Hey, that
Um,
was
Not with
arguably
that
still
attitude.
merriment.
Maybe
Anyway.
an
Arguably.
excess of merriment, but merriment nonetheless.
Perhaps.
So as the festivities are winding down and people are kind of beginning to tire and turn in, the lights begin to kind of dim, and
Slow dance.
soldiers and Uvari begin to kind of filter out from the chamber where you've been having this excellent meal and these fun times. And Kayana, you do notice Fulvin kind of sitting back down at the table for a moment and kind of he pulls a little notebook out from under his cloak and draws a quill and ink and begins kind of just writing in it, just sitting at the table.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but may I join you briefly?
Oh, certainly.
This is just still so much of a surprise. I'm still, I guess, coming to terms with what happened.
I can't say I really expected it either. When I saw this place on the horizon, I was pretty much convinced we'd be fighting for it, and a good number of my men would be dead by now.
I'm glad that it didn't have to come to that.
Me too. The lives of my men are very important to me.
This would have been, you've to fight with monsters in the wilderness, but it would have been my first time doing anything of this nature, and I can't say that I was prepared for it.
Of this nature, fighting not monsters?
People.
Then you have a good heart. A lot of folks, when they join a war or a military, and they're given orders and they're told that's the enemy, they're gonna kill you if you don't kill them. It's very easy for most minds to basically say, well, they're the enemy, they must be a monster. Makes it easier to sleep at night. But, well, it's not true.
No.
They're never a monster on the other side of the conflict. But they might kill you if you don't kill them. And so sometimes there's nothing for it. But I relish the times when we can avoid fighting. So in my book, and he kind of gestures to the book he was writing in, it was a good day.
It's good. I don't know. How much in detail do you know about us?
Well, let's see.
What have you heard?
I'm
along the way?
familiar with your exploits at Allegheny. I'm familiar with the... I don't know what I would call it. Excursion at Limna with the Danish spy.
Yes.
That one cost me a pretty penny to find out, but I managed. And I've heard something about recovering artifacts. Nothing more than that. I know your names, although I see Jeremiah and the Raven Queen's paladin.
Kellum.
Kellum, yes, thank you. They don't seem to be among you anymore, and I haven't heard of this pink-haired sorceress you have with you.
Yeah, she's new.
Well, if she's with you all, I have faith in her.
Sorry, quick out of character. Did he not mention Shadra on purpose?
You want to insight check it?
Yeah, I do actually. That is a 16.
He seems to not know about her.
I'm just gonna let him go on.
So I've heard about those. The artifacts, not much more than just that there were artifacts. I guess one of them was near Alleghane and the other near Limna, but I guess I also know, beyond your names, general descriptions. I knew that Wartalk was a water ganassi, that you were uh, I'm sorry, it's their words, not mine. A strange kind of elf that changed her looks.
No,
Uh,
that's fair.
The word strange rubs me the wrong way, but a dragonborn in armor, and well, a suave-looking human warlock, and
And
a paladin in armor with enormous pauldrons that draped over his body like an umbrella.
Oh yeah, that did kind of look like that, huh?
And that was what I knew.
That is the extent of it.
Yes. Well, and that you've had some dealings with King Pentrum, but I think that was it was not difficult information to come by.
What I'm getting at is our origins, where we come from.
Oh, well, the Water Ganassi clearly isn't from Erevar.
ooh,
That's
Ain't from around these parts.
Sorry, the laughing is out of character.
yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't know where any of the rest of you come from.
Sorry, quick question out of character. The closest village was Minisfield?
Minnesfeld.
Minisfeld. Okay.
Basically field, but an old-timier way of spelling it.
Yeah, ye old field.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you've been to, or any of you troops would be from around the Minisfeld area, would they?
I
I know
haven't
it's
heard
kind
of
of
it.
backwater.
If it's a small town, then nah, I have not heard of it. My own birthplace was a small town as well. Don't hear much of the outside world. Whereabouts is it?
Oh, far.
The geographic location would be the Indigo Wood. Would be like
Yeah.
the closest hallmark.
Yeah, it's far south from here. It's nestled up to the Indigo Woods.
Ah, those I do know. I've never been there personally, but the wood from that forest is used in quite a lot of Danish woodwork. It's known pretty wide and far and wide.
I managed to, let's say I managed to crawl my way out of there.
I see. So you're Danish.
In a sense, yeah.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad you got out before you had to be on the wrong side of this war.
It caught me by complete surprise. Now, I understand it's in the backwater, but I was traveling northward, I suppose, as the preparations were being made, and I was none the wiser, and I'm surprised.
It was a rather sudden decision. depending on exactly when you were and where, you might have missed it completely had you not been looking for it. Because the invasion on the Dukesmoot was supposed to be a sudden and unexpected strike, the preparations were made mostly by, well, with soldiers who were already in the army, not conscripts. And so they would already have been at military encampments near the border, most likely. And, well, not much movement until the day of.
Yeah, I part of the reason that I was completely unprepared is a fear that an old acquaintance of mine would be meeting me on the other end of a sword.
An old acquaintance.
I don't have any names in particular, just,
Mm.
you know, somebody
Yes.
from down south. And because I know that they are good people,
Well, for your
it's all
sake and
senseless.
theirs, I hope the war finishes quickly, so that the chance of that is very small.
Forgive me if I don't understand why the motivation to enact the war couldn't have been funneled into a more progressive and communicative approach.
Well, it's probably a good question. I think only Darren would be able to give you that answer. Why not try diplomacy first, or something less warlike? I don't know. Perhaps he'd already been trying. Perhaps he hadn't. I'm not really privy to what the royalty does. But if I had to guess, well, not even guess, I have a hunch. If Darren is willing to deal with these demonic things, make bargains with something dark that would lend him the power to create these Wraith Hearts, I think it was just all completely a farce. I don't think there's a shred of truth to that motivation. They just needed
Yeah.
something that people would believe.
Because I don't think it would have been hard to motivate people to rally around joining forces with Erevar for the betterment of society all around.
Perhaps, but, well, it's easier to consider joining together when there's an enemy to be fought. By making Erevar an enemy, well, how familiar are you with the politics in Dain? If you were from Minnesfeld, well, probably not very, yeah?
Well, it's more apt to say that I was living inside the woods and made occasional trips there.
So even less so. I've only come to learn this rather recently, but Dain's political field is, shall we say, contentious. It's not uncommon for lords to even openly fight one another in struggles for power. It's a bit barbaric, but there's also a strange sense of honor to it, because these fights are not always bloody. They're also of advancement and of honor. He who has the greatest measure of all three, battlefield ability, honor, and for lack of a better word, technological prowess. He's the one who rules, or she. These territories fight pretty often, and so, sure, it might be easier for some people to band together with others and say, yes, let's go and help these people and make the whole world better. But for the nobility that have spent their entire lives squabbling and scraping for power, I think a common enemy was the right choice if you wanted them to band together. I don't like it, but that seems to be the way of it.
I don't suppose you've heard anything about any other parties or squadrons or what have you of the Danish army.
Other defectors?
No, I'm people scouting like you might, or just any word at all of any army presence in the Indigo Woods.
In the woods. I doubt they'd be that far south. But if you're asking about recruitment, people came from all over.
No.
If you're asking about operations, then as far as
You
I
haven't
know,
heard of any.
it's up north, yes. And we were, as far as I'm aware, the only group sent this far north. But I am only a captain. There are ranks much higher than me that would get a bigger picture. I only know what I'm told.
We have very strong reasons to believe that we're not the only artifact hunters around here.
I would be surprised if you were. There are many folks interested in the secrets of the past.
Well,
He totally
How do I
doesn't
put
get
it?
what you're going for. Like,
yeah. I'm trying to think of how to word this carefully.
Mm-hmm.
We have discovered a particular subset of artifacts that are exceptionally powerful. And we also very strongly believe that is the Danish king are racing to.
You're cutting out a lot. I don't know if it's me or you.
It's probably me. I'm not talking very.
Ooh, no, it might be me.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Hold on a sec. Let's see what we got. Well, it looks okay. Looks like I have green signal. Alright, continue.
Okay.
Hopefully just a blip.
We feel that we're racing him to find and control these artifacts that could be devastating in the hands of demonic forces. The broken siege of Allegheny was one of these items.
Ah.
And we have very vague notions of where the other ones are located, and
well, with all due respect, Miss Kayana, that sounds like it's way out of my depth. But it sounds
probably
like
above your pay grade.
But it sounds like you could use those weapons to turn the tide of the war.
Yeah. Truthfully, I feel as if this is not a war among men, truly, but a war among natural forces.
Well, I don't know about any of that, but
You should
you're probably
you should
right.
spend some time in the library here. I think that the Ovari they would relish the chance to tell you about everything that's been going on.
I might just do that. Well, if that's all, it's been a long day. I think we should both get some sleep.
Yeah.
Good night, Miss Kayana.
You as well.
He stands up, takes his book, kind of puts it back in his cloak pocket, and turns and walks away. Was anyone else there for that conversation?
I take
Like,
it.
I thought Ilya was supposed to be, but
I'm gonna say, Ilya,
She's
you
just, like, in the
probably
background,
were,
like-
because it would have been a lot of good exposition for you to hear.
yeah.
Like, close enough to hear what's going on, but far enough away to, like, not make him feel like we're overcrowding him.
Oh.
You know? Also that, like,
Yeah.
you know, the friend, the homie that's, like, off to the side, like,
Yeah.
you need to fuck him up?
Yeah.
I'll do it. You say the safety word, I'm over there.
Yeah.
He passes you on his way out, Ilya, and he kind of bows to you.
So, that's essentially what's been going on. We're not just treasure hunting for the fun of it. We're trying to stop the ultimate chaotic being.
That is certainly different than what I expected, but at the same time, not exactly. That's about right up that I'd expect there with a lot of you.
Hmm. Holy shit, the dabbing shadow, the hedgehog.
Oh, like, that was wow.
Whew.
That was pretty something.
Right.
And our friend Jeremiah that he mentioned, Jeremiah was killed by a
bullfrog.
demon.
Bullfrog demon.
Well,
Sorry.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog
Yeah, that.
who was killed by a demon.
Whoa! Poor
He-
bullfrog.
he was killed by a demon when we were getting Atarax and then stopped the siege on Allegheny. So he's no longer with us. Kellum is serving a higher calling, and Shada just wants her folks to be safe. And we're out here in the middle of nowhere. Just trying to make sure that more people don't get hurt. Besides ourselves, I feel like we've gone through a lot of self-hurt lately.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh gosh. Alright, I need to look at this, I guess.
Holy shit, okay.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
But
I feel
so-
like the gods would probably be happy about some loyal followers stopping Chaos Incarnate. So, there's always room for you.
How did you all figure out that it was a nuclear arms race?
I mean,
It's not that hard.
we blew up an entire army with it.
Only once.
The next relic we find is going to shapeshift into a rocket launcher.
Sick.
Oh, heck yes.
For what it's worth, Kayana, I
Mhm.
don't think I'll be leaving anytime soon.
Yay. We should that cloister that Travian mentioned not too long ago. We should go there and like meet some of your
Yes.
fellow worshippers.
We should do that. We should also definitely tag Jeff.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Jeff, you're not here.
Oh.
True.
Yeah, we Okay. Yeah, we need to fix that curse on him. That needs to go. It needs to
Yes.
go. And I don't know. I guess I'm just wanting to connect with you a little bit better when we're not fighting for our lives. That would
That would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one time Warthog spiked the drinks at a party and it was really cool. Jeff ended up eating glass.
Huh?
Did what now? Like the spiking the drinks part, I can imagine that, but what brought you guys to eating glass?
So you know how I'll occasionally do my meditations and take some medicine for it? He spiked
Medicine.
everybody. He spiked everybody's drinks with that particular herb. And it was a party.
That's one way to put it.
I see.
I
So
still
from
have
what
both
I gather,
stars on
you
my
should-
tongue.
Watch your drinks.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very well. Next time Warthog brings a drink over, it's like, "Hey, I brought you this. I'm good."
You're in a desert. Warthog holds out a water skin to you, and you're just like.
I'll wait.
No, I'll take a sip first. Wait,
I'll,
drugs.
I'll wait.
There's an oasis in 10 miles. I got this.
Yeah, I can wait 10 miles.
So, keep all the drugs to myself, I guess.
I've got you, homie.
Wait, I'm a cleric. I have create destroy water.
Yeah.
Destroyed the
You
water
also have
Warthog.
detect poison.
I also have detect poison.
Yeah.
Too busy using bless. Sorry.
He was using good spells. Ooh.
Alrighty. So, and if anybody else want to do anything before bed?
I'm gonna have a weird dream that my friends keep talking about my eyeball behind my back. I don't know what's up because the super cool eyeball has never done anything to them.
Well, they're talking about it, but in your dream, they're actually just talking about it really, really, like, kindly. They're just giving it all the praise in the world.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because
what are they
else
saying
would they
about
do?
it?
They're saying how beautiful it is, and how useful, and how helpful, and how much just more awesome you've been since you've gotten this third eye.
Oh, this dream is way better than I thought it was going to be.
Like, man, Jeff was cool before, but with the third eye, three-eyed Jeff is awesome. Way better than cotton-eyed Joe. Like,
The real traitor, Joe. Anyway, I'm gonna be content with my super awesome dream about my super awesome friend praising my super awesome eyeball.
I'm not.
Which you should do more in real life.
No.
No?
Awesome.
Jeff, when you wake up in the morning, you have 5 temporary hit points.
Oh, sick. From what?
I thought
just
you were
spicy.
gonna say 5 eyeballs.
No. You feel particularly rejuvenated from that night's rest.
Oh, sick. I guess I got the good sheets or something.
Yeah, man. You paid extra for the soft bed at the inn. This is Breath of the Wild.
Oh, right. That's how that works.
um, okay, so morning comes around after your night of enjoyment, and the Secretarium is beginning to stir. The soldiers are kind of helping out where needed, getting, kind of taking care mostly of their own accommodations, making the load a little lighter on the Ulvari, who are still kind of regaining their bearings and preparing for their outings into the wide world for the first time in 327, almost 328 years. Um, so yeah, there's generally just like a lot of busyness about. The Uvari are kind of making plans. There's a few groups here and there in different rooms with maps kind of laid out before them, um, looking over kind of positioning, little stone or wooden statues at various places and talking amongst themselves, deciding who will go where. Um, And the group of you, I would assume, are looking for Travian to ask about the Teleportation Circle. Okay. You find him relatively quickly. He's sort of roaming between rooms, making sure everyone has what they need. When he encounters you, he kind of perks up for a moment and smiles and says, "Ah, Siegebreakers, good morning. What can I do for you?"
Um, Mortok and I feel pretty confident that we were able to fix up the teleportation circle, but
Ah, excellent.
we're not entirely sure how to use it.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. I think you mentioned that such magic is not
It doesn't
common.
exist.
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy to show you. Let's go.
Sure, the last time somebody tried, it took his arm off.
I don't think that will happen.
Cool, I trust you.
Silently puts away stat sheet. All right, so Travian leads you back to the teleportation circle, kind of looks around at the work you've done and nods to himself. Yes, that should do nicely. Very good indeed. That looks done. Now, unfortunately, since you said that uh, these don't exist as far as your world is concerned yet, the teleportation circle is a little more difficult. Typically,
Okay.
you teleport from one circle to another, and you do so by knowing. He kind of points to the circle itself and like specifically to the ring of runes outside of it, the specific combination of runes that appear on the outside of the circle. They are unique to each teleportation circle. They encode its location and the magic resonance that is associated therewith. Since we don't have a second circle, we will have to make do with just that resonance. It's a bit more difficult and a bit less precise. It may not get you exactly into the academy, but it should get you near. In order to do this, though, I will need an object from the academy. Do you have such a thing?
I believe I do. I suppose I have that sending stone.
You do.
That'll do. I produce it. Oh, maybe we should probably let them know that we're coming. I seem to remember a certain party of adventurers that get into a lot of trouble for not telling people when they're teleporting. Whoops. Okay, so this was this was a different type of sending stone. I don't quite remember what the specifications were.
It was mostly normal. It was limited in its uses. You could only use it once per day.
Sorry, how many? Once per day?
Yes.
Okay. Am I remembering that I have to expend a spell slot to use it, or...
No. It
Okay.
casts sending from within itself. It's basically a 1-a-day storage for sending. Just, you know.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like a sending stone, but bad.
It's like when your mom refuses to pay for unlimited data.
Sending stone. Weak.
Alright, let me
Stone
draft my
of very
tweet.
minor sending.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What should we tell Anakim?
Sup, bitch? We coming.
We came back.
25
Check
words.
this shit out.
Yeah, I know. I'm drafting my tweet.
Okay, so you're not actually sending it right now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what we should say. Like, I'm not casting the spell yet. I'm just trying to like brainstorm. Like,
Yeah.
hey Anakim,
Bruh, check it out.
we're not doing a jester sending.
Sup, dude?
So, dude.
Take a step back.
What do we tell him? Besides, like, hey, we're coming to visit. We're gonna teleport in.
Watch your step.
Okay.
Who knows?
Move.
I mean, whatever you can come up with.
Okay.
Alright, are you sending it?
Hold out. Okay. How does this sound to the group? Hey, Anakim. We're returning from the Ovari range. We've discovered teleportation. Please don't be alarmed. Coming in hot.
Maybe
I
have
really
him
like
also
the
warn
idea.
other people
Oh.
in case we
Well,
don't land
I-
like right around him.
Oh yeah.
I just really like the idea of not telling them that we did teleportation at all. Just be like, yo, check this out. And then just showing up like a minute later. And just be
Yeah.
like, yo, what's up?
Yeah,
We
sure.
lost 2 guys and caught this ambiguously brown girl.
Show up.
What is this,
Hey.
Gallivant, where we continuously claim that the one character of color is of ambiguous race?
Yes.
I guess she wasn't the only character of color. There were a few. That also was an amazing show.
So good.
I mean, it helps that, like, a lot of us just don't have normal human skin tone, I guess.
True.
Okay, so I'm gonna send it.
Okay.
Greetings, Anakim. We're returning from the Avari range. We've discovered teleportation. Please don't be alarmed. Let others at Academy know.
Okay. All right.
And then I'm gonna like give it a minute.
He doesn't know that he can respond. Well, he does know that he can respond to this. Never mind.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a
he totally does.
mage.
But you didn't say that you could respond to this message. So a second goes by and he's like, Kayana, teleportation. Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, there's no one around me, so I guess whenever you're ready.
Poor sweet child. All right. If everybody's ready, let's yeah, basically.
Well,
If everybody's ready, let's vamonos.
Okay. So, as you're preparing to leave, um, Fulvin comes up into this room and kind of looks around and says,
Oh, right.
so
Right.
y'all are heading out then?
We didn't discuss with him what we discussed with each other, did we?
No, we didn't.
No.
Shit.
That's
Hey,
why
buddy,
I came.
how's it going?
That's why I came. I figured,
Okay, so I want maybe let's backtrack a little bit because in character we totally would have done that.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been told that the teleportation circle is ready. You haven't sent your message to Anakim ready, and you're like, let's go find Fulvin and tell him what the plan is.
so what
Yeah.
is the plan?
I don't know, Jeff. What's the plan?
Uh,
Come on, hasn't your
Where-
third eye been able to figure it out?
oof, that's a low one.
You're the tallest person.
Metaphorically speaking.
Sorry for the lowbrow humor. Jeff.
Woof.
Man. Ooh. Well, heck, we're not going to
guess-
take all of them with us to the teleportation thingy, are we?
I didn't reckon we were taking any of them with us through it.
Are they
How
just gonna
are
stay
we
here?
transporting to the eye? How are they getting there?
We
I
build-
thought we were teleporting them.
How many people can go in this teleporter?
5 at once.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. Also, we got to get Clanky.
I mean, it
Do the
can be used
teleporter
a
as
few
well.
times, but
one at a time. Haven't you guys seen Jeff Goldblum in The Fly?
No.
No.
What?
nope.
I don't know what a movie is.
Oh,
I have.
Anyhow,
Oh,
Billy, what are you talking about? Who is this Goldblum?
shut up, Jeffrey.
What?
okay, if I remember correctly, just to move this along a bit, if I remember correctly, what y'all said was that you wanted to send one of the Ulvari with the soldiers to lead them to the place.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we should give Fulvin the location of the place where the stronghold's gonna be. We should also probably give him that down payment.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, we're sending you to some ruins in the middle of nowhere. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, but it'll be fine. We're going to gentrify the neighborhood, and everything will be okay. And we'll be able to flip it for tons of money when we're all done, trust me.
You sound like one of those city slickers from home. Yeah, all right.
But none of that was a character.
I know.
Yeah, come on, country boy, get it together.
You sound like that one real estate agent. You know the one.
Okay, so the plan is one of the Aravari is going to escort the boys to our ruin island thingy where we're going to make our stronghold, and we have the 5,000 gold sapphires as a down payment for fixing it up.
Mhm.
Okay.
All that sounds reasonable. Okay.
Okay,
So
and we're going to go through the teleport circle with, I assume, Mr. Clanky.
yeah, he'll probably have to follow through afterwards to come with you all, but yeah, you can definitely get him with you.
Okay. I guess that's the plan then.
Excellent. Okay. So you head back up to the teleportation circle and now go through that whole thing with Anakim, and he's prepared. It tells you no one is around him and you're clear for landing.
Alright.
So Travian kind of holds his hand out for the sending stone and says, I'll send it through with Clanky. Takes it from you, Kayana, and begins to kind of just focus on it, and you see he's beginning to kind of wave his hand in the air in these particular patterns. And as he does, he begins to trace these sigils almost begin to like appear spectrally, like shining blue in the air, and he draws them in a circle, seeming to mirror the encoding on the circle on the ground in which you're all standing, but the sigils are different. They seem to be attuned to whatever location this object is pointing at. And he completes the circle and begins kind of rotating it and manipulating it. And as he does so, the circle you're standing in begins to glow, reflecting that same pale blue light. He thrusts the shimmering sigil circle down on the ground, kind of concentric with the circle you're standing in, and it begins to expand until it engulfs the circle you're in, and the light grows ever brighter and brighter until it's almost blinding. And just as it gets to like its peak, almost white light, you feel your bodies lurch for a moment, and then about 5 feet above the ground, in the middle of Erevar, maybe a mile or two away from the actual academy, the group of you just appears out of thin air, dropping a couple of feet onto the ground around a very confused Anakim. Hi guys.
Hello.
You weren't kidding about that teleportation, huh? I'm gonna need to learn that.
Weird.
Is anyone else just a little bit sick?
Yeah,
Well,
very.
I mean, he and I think, have the research notes. Oh, really though, the main barrier to end be those gems.
Well,
Well,
we do have a good number of gems at the academy. It's part of our spellcasting materials. We may have what you
that's
need.
true. Oh gosh. Oh, sorry. I might need to rejoin the call real fast. It is not great.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed you were kind of blipping in and out a bit. See you in a sec. Hey guys, Christine's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not been a super great connection day today. I can only imagine that it might be the snow and ice.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Uh,
I'd like everybody to
don't
make
know.
dexterity saving throws.
Oh god.
What? Huh?
15.
11.
13?
Ilya, what was yours?
17.
Okay. All of you passed. DC was 10, so you're all good.
Sick.
As Clanky appears 5 feet above the ground, almost falls on the group of you, but you all like, we expected this, and dive out of the way in time.
Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Clanky kind of gets up and like clunk, 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 dusts himself off with this like scraping of leather on metal. That's not too bad. It's leather, not metal on metal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Solid landing.
Clunk. Anakim is like, I forgot about Clanky. He's big.
How dare you? Yeah, well, yeah, a little bit.
Cool. All right. So what can I do for you?
Well, this was essentially the best place to go to make the teleporting work. We should. Do we have any more of the chalk left? Out of character?
Yeah.
Or did we use it all up? Okay.
I think you've got a little bit
We
left.
should. It might not be a bad idea to disseminate this information and get another circle going.
So I do believe, let me double check, but I think for Teleportation Circle, you have to cast it a number of times for it to stick in place.
Oh, huh. Well, yeah.
We can just keep
Yeah.
teleporting ourselves to
Every
that
day
spot.
for a year.
Gotcha. Well,
However, you have enough lapis left over for probably a week's worth of the gems, and that might afford them enough time to get more.
I guess
They are,
mainly
they are the
Ordoc,
academy.
like,
I mean, they've got resources.
Yeah.
Write it off on their
yeah.
tax forms as like research materials.
I mean, yeah. Like,
I
pretty literally.
Yeah, just like mainly with more talk like, is this a good idea? Is this the ethical thing to do? Should we do this?
I mean, I think it's the right call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can help give some reach notes to you guys. Also, I wasn't sure if you guys are aware of it, but there's a huge target on you guys from the Danish army.
Ah, well, I mean, we kind of figured. There's been some, our network, as you remember, Anakim is also a Thieves Guild contact.
Yeah.
Some of our network has definitely, gathered that that's the purported reason for the war, is the magical advancements that Erevar has made. So, yeah, we're taking precautions, and actually doing a bit of work ourselves. In fact, we even have, might have, I should say, we've extended an offer to a new field professor.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah. So if she comes on,
who
that'll be pretty cool.
would that be?
Oh, her name's Jasna. Jasna Barrow, I believe. We sent the request out a couple of weeks ago. Figured she'd probably get it when she was in Aquilea. Haven't heard back yet, but I imagine it would only be a few more days.
The demonic voice of Christine erupts in Anakim's mind. Boy, watch out!
Mm.
Leans over to Wartalk. Did you get chills at all?
Yeah,
What was
listen,
her name?
I
Don't
got
worry.
chills.
You got chills? Okay.
Yeah.
Is
Glad I
everything
wasn't
all
the
right?
only one.
I don't suppose
No.
that Azarath told us the individual names of the Keepers of Fate, did she?
I believe she mentioned Garrick by name, but none of the rest of them.
Okay, yeah, I do know we had Garrick by name. I wasn't sure about the others. Okay. Then I don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Well, with that kind of, with a little bit more hands in the field, it should be, well, we should be able to keep tabs on a few things a little better, you know?
Yeah, I hope so. Let's see. Do we tell him about the souls?
What?
The soul stone.
I think we keep that one to ourselves.
So he's walking back with you all towards the Luminaire Academy, as you're going, and like this conversation is happening while you walk, and he says, "Oh, there's another piece of information too that you might find helpful. So that rod that you all retrieved for us,
Yeah.
we've been doing a little research with it, and it's actually been going really well. We figured out what makes it tick, and we've built a more powerful one. This one's...
Sorry, I couldn't hear any of that up until just now.
Oh no, was it? Did other people hear me?
Yeah, it's fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on my end.
Okay. I'm just checking that. Like, yeah, I'll repeat it though. That rod that you all gave us, we've done some research on it, and it's actually gone really well. We figured out what makes it tick, and we've actually built a stronger one. Now, it's not as portable, but it's got a way longer range. We were actually able to get pings from almost all of the relics, and I think we can confirm that theory that they're all along the ley lines. There's one hitch though, and I think it's actually well, it's probably, I would say it's easier to show you, but it's, well, the size also means that the energy needed to run it is well, it's a lot, and it's kind of, we only were able to power it for a few seconds, but well, maybe we could find it again. Nonetheless, there was one other ping we got from it. One other thing seemed to respond. That one didn't match the ley lines. We're not sure what it was, but whatever it is, it has to be tuned to the same frequency, I guess, as those weapons.
Where was this ping?
Well, it was hard to say exactly. We mostly only got direction, but it pointed. Let me get an exact heading. I know it's eastward, but I want to be more exact than that.
God damn it.
Actually,
I
it's
don't like this.
almost directly southeast. Yeah. It seemed to be pointing southeast, which means that it's somewhere between here and, well, the edge of the continent in the southeast would be the Great Dain Delta.
Mm-hmm.
The marshlands and swamps in eastern Erevar and Dain. Well, I guess they all belong to Dain now, but yeah.
Do you think that might be ambition?
He's like, oh, you guys can whisper. He walks further ahead out of earshot.
Thanks, buddy.
Sweet
Appreciate you.
precious child.
He's like not that young. His voice is just high.
I'm still going to call him a sweet precious child.
Okay. He's like more than double Kyanna's age.
That's okay.
But yeah, no,
Not
you do
saying
you.
much.
Who is this person?
He's like our research friend. Oh gosh. God,
You-
there's so much to catch you up on. We came here and this was basically where we kind of got our bearings about like what our artifact hunting mission was and where we're supposed to go and the time crunch that we're on to do it. And
Time crunch?
yeah, I think you would have heard this when I was talking to the guy about it, but like we're racing the Danish king to get the thing so he doesn't take over the world.
Right.
You know, cool
I
stuff
do
like
vaguely
that.
remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
And there was this thing that Shadra had where it's kind of like a dowsing rod, but for divine energy. And that's the thing he was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Don't worry, we'll also take you to meet our friend Nair. I'm sure he would be very interested to know in the developments that have just happened.
All right.
We'll get you introduced and situated. Don't you worry. I hope.
No need to worry. Mostly.
Okay. So basically what I'm getting at is this ping was just off in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of fucking nowhere off the delta.
So it might have gone off the delta, but it also might have been any of the land between here and there.
Okay. I guess I still don't understand, but well, you know.
So,
Could just be a party like walking, towards the town.
yeah, it could, well, we got pings from all 10 of the weapons, so we knew where those ones were. The only one that wasn't what we expected was that one. And if we were able to run the thing for longer, we might be able to get a more exact location for it. We were only able to get it for a few seconds, so we could only really get the direction. It could be an 11th weapon, as weird as that sounds. It could be some other divine artifact. I don't know what else it could be. It could have just been a malfunction or a fluke. It could have been some strange magical eddy that just kind of swirled itself into something that at that exact moment sounded exactly like a divine weapon. We'd have to turn it on again to find out, and yeah, it's a lot of money that goes into the resources to do it. If we could find something that could have like a more consistent source of power for it, then maybe we could get it working long enough to do more. But, with what we get a few seconds.
I'm just gonna side-eye Wartalk and Ilya.
I
and
love
also
that you
Jeff.
actually asked about it, because this was completely, this is 100% planned that he would talk about it like this, and you just happened to mention Soulstones earlier. It was great.
Look, Soulstones are very integral to this exact specific situation, and you fucking know why.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's wonderfully coincidental that you were like, should we tell him about the Soulstones? And then literally what I have written down is he talks about it being an enormous amount of energy, so much so that a constant source would be impossible to find. And then below that is they could propose a Soulstone, though making their own, talking about the drawbacks of making one. But literally they could tell him about the Soulstones. So it was just beautiful how it worked out. It was just perfect.
Yeah. But anyway,
You cut out there.
Oh, well, I didn't actually form an actual word.
Oh, okay.
Do we tell him? Do we?
I don't know anymore.
I think ourselves.
Everybody go ahead and make a, let's call it a just general intelligence check. Straight intelligence.
18.
13.
12.
3.
Ilya just thinks magic rod go ping.
Ilya's like, I'm so lost. They're telling me things and I'm hearing it, but I'm still so lost.
It's like they're trying to speak to me. I know it. Kiana and Jeff, you guys both are focused on the Soulstone and deciding whether or not you should expunge that? No, not expunge. It's
Expound upon it?
No. You know what? Whatever.
Explain?
Divulge that information. There's another word that starts with X, but I can't remember it. So divulge that information to him. Wartalk, you're thinking about it and you're like, well, what about a middle ground? Something that wasn't so big that it could get the whole continent, but that was more powerful than the little one. maybe that wouldn't necessitate telling them about the soul stones, but you could get still a better range.
Say that.
Okay. Anakim kind of looks thoughtfully for a moment and says, "It would take a bit more research, but I mean, we understand the mechanic behind it. It should be doable." Yeah. And then if we had a field agent or somebody, maybe our new professor, take it out and about, they could maybe, find what that other source was. Yeah, that's a good
Makes sense,
idea.
yeah. That's smart.
I like it. We should keep you here.
You don't want that. You ever have an entire college just having a raver?
Yeah.
It would become a party
oh,
school.
wait, really?
Yeah.
When's the next one?
Go
Oh,
from
gosh.
hybrid to evergreen.
You gotta ask me these questions, don't you?
You may, I mean, like,
No, it's a real thing. It's the
Oh no.
10th of Snow Scour.
Yeah.
It's the week of Snow Scour. So
just go up to Wazoo grounds. You're not even a student. You're just here to party.
Yeah. What's up, guys?
What is that? That's 2. Oh no, wait, 3. 13. 20 weeks from now.
20 weeks.
So that's a little bit from now, but I'll see if I can be there for that.
The fourth Sunday of Rainshine. It's our founding festival.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. How many years?
Let's see. This year will mark 231.
Whoa. Okay.
Nice.
Don't let him near the drinks.
Don't worry, I'll bring the drinks.
I'll keep that in mind.
Don't let him anywhere near the drinks.
If you want a good party, just don't worry about it.
We do like a good party.
No, trust me on this one. I still have scars from last time.
He winks. He just gives you a little wink, like, I got you.
Fair enough.
Okay.
At this point, you do arrive back at the academy, and Anakim kind of traces an arcane sigil in the air, which opens that same kind of rotating upward immense clockwork door through which you first entered the academy. This time, Jason is not, or Argenis is not waiting on the other side, but you enter nonetheless with Anakim in the lead. You find yourselves once again in the Artificery College at this portion of the academy, where before you had met Argenis and Aurelia, the former being a professor and the latter being a senior student.
Yes.
They, as you enter, Argenis kind of in the main room is kind of bent over, helping one of the students who is poring over this just immense tome. And you hear Argenis mutter something about sentence structure, and he stands up when he hears the sound of the door to this chamber opening, and the group of you walking through, and he kind of, what a pleasant surprise. What was his voice? I think he might have been Irish. I think he was. What a pleasant surprise. Welcome back, Siegebreakers. What brings you here again? Been a while,
The
huh?
quickest way to, yeah, it's it was the quickest way to get back to civilization was here, specifically here.
Well, you're still about 10 miles away. But we're glad to have you visit nonetheless.
It's better than a 3-week journey through the mountains in the snow.
And what do you mean quickest?
So, here's the deal. We found a method of instantaneous travel while we were out in the mountains, and we used it to get back here. And
Pentrum has been working on such a thing for nigh on 5 years. The last time he
yes,
tried it, he lost a hand. What did you...
yes.
I lost my lunch.
Lost my sanity.
That's a sight
Wait,
better than a hand. You didn't have that to begin with.
That's right. Okay.
Love you all the same, but let's be honest.
How to put this? We discovered an ancient race of people whose culture predates the scouring, and they are emerging from their hermitage, and they have exceptional magical abilities.
And he kind of, like, his eyes went wide for a moment, and then they kind of narrowed with doubt. He's like, you can't really expect me to believe that.
No,
Come
I
now,
can't.
what's-
But I don't have a better story.
What's the
I
truth
really
of it?
don't.
The truth.
It's the truth.
They were in this
Like,
big
I know
force
I do.
field, and they weren't.
Have you any proof?
The thingy we got.
The what?
We
Oh yeah, that.
It's
You can
Squidward.
find those anywhere. They're all over the place at this point.
Uh,
But we did find this.
a bracelet.
I'm gonna cast the Squid Boy.
That's interesting. See, like a
It's pretty cool.
familiar.
Sort of. Sort of. It's kind of in here, and then it
That is intriguing, and it's, I can't say I've really ensorcelled a familiar before in such a way, but I'm not sure it points to a vastly superior race.
We got the teleporting rolling up. Like,
That's
he
what I'm
teleported
asking, though.
here.
There has to be a better explanation than this.
Should we teleport him back?
We
I don't
can't.
think we can.
You guys can just say, I mean, some of them are coming down here soon.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they are emerging from their hermitage.
Right, but
They're
like
going to be-
specifically here. They've talked about
Yes.
like, oh, we should
Yeah.
go to that place. You didn't
Well,
say
one of them
that.
might be in town soon.
They're specifically, they are coming. Anybody by the name of Ulvar. They will be the ones.
I see.
Goliath. You will know them when you see them.
they're really hard to miss.
Well, I
Yeah.
suppose we'll have to ask them for some demonstrations then. If what you say is true, and believe me, I don't mean to imply that you're lying. They could be the liars. But if what you say is true, and they're honest, and they really are from before the scouring, and this immensely powerful and magically gifted people, then, well, then we shall have a lot to learn from them.
Indeed.
Oh,
I think.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming.
Well, then I look forward to it. Do you know how long it might take them?
Not very
no.
long.
They're very tall. They make long steps.
Well, we should prepare for guests then.
Yeah.
Try for the best.
Also,
Very
you know,
well.
if they can instantly transport themselves, then
Well,
you know.
so they can't right now because they gave back the sending stone with Clanky.
Yeah, but
In a year
Still.
they could, but yeah. Who knows? Maybe they have teleport. Just normal teleportation.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, in any case, what can we do to make your stay more comfortable, more fruitful? Are you
I
waiting here
feel
for
as-
them?
I don't believe that we are. I think that we probably should be getting to Nair as soon as possible.
Wait, what's her objective right now?
We need to tell Nair about the defectors so that they don't kill the Danish soldiers on sight.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We should do that.
We gotta go. Mom's on the way home, and we didn't pull out the chicken to defrost.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, fair enough. Yes, we did. You want to see the progress we've made with the rod, or
Sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
okay. Very well. Follow me, and he'll lead you. It's in the artificery wing of the academy, but it's kind of deep within it, very close to what you gather was probably the center of this old wizard's tower that was repurposed into the academy, which again is kind of bigger on the inside. He leads you in for what seems like several hundred yards. Through various chambers, classrooms, study halls, etc. You see labs passing on your left and right and kind of getting denser and denser towards the center until finally you reach what looks like a hall of largely unfinished projects. Like, it's a lot of things that look like they are in progress, like current research. And there's a few men and women at desks working on some of these that very much by their cloth you could tell they are professors, not students. These would be more like the professional labs rather than the learning ones. So near the center of this room, you see a very, very tall obelisk-like structure. It stretches almost to the ceiling of this 50-foot high room. The room itself has kind of these vaulted ceilings with buttresses holding them up, all wrought very finely from stone with gold inlay. Almost, yeah, actually, we'll even say it is white marble. And this obelisk, in kind of stark contrast to that, is this just very, very dark. It looks like metal or stone as you're walking up to it, but as you come very close and you reach your hand out and kind of observe the structure, it's wooden. It's ebony wood.
Oh, sick.
It took us no small amount of time to find the trees to make this from, but it was an endeavor well worth it. It's a powerful thing you see before you. He kind of walks over to one of the other professors, whispers a few words to him, and the other hands him a key. He takes the key and goes off into a side room that he unlocks with the key, disappears for a moment, and comes back with an armful of gemstones. I mean, like he's like hugging them to his body. He comes back over, kneels down, and kind of scatters them across the floor. You see him tap a place on the wood and trace what you didn't see before, but now appears as his finger draws along it. There is actually an etching kind of recessed into the wood in a sigil that looks... Would it look familiar to any of you? Wartalk, do you have the thing where you can read all languages?
Yep.
Okay. You do recognize it. It is a a character from a language that you've only seen a couple of times before. The same one that you saw in the journal in the Elverite Sanctum. The journal of the leader dude, the ghosty guy.
Sure.
So you recognize this as a symbol from that language, and the symbol means find.
Makes sense.
So he traces this symbol, and the tree opens up. The wood kind of parts and splits to show a kind of cavern, a little crevice. And he begins kind of placing the gemstones gingerly inside of this cavern, one after the other, counting them. It's a full, 20 fist-sized diamonds. It's like 100,000 gold pieces worth of stuff.
Ooh.
Holy shit.
All right.
Holy shit.
Probably more like 60,000, actually. Still fuck ton, but
Still a lot.
Yeah.
like war chest money.
Yeah.
After he's kind of loaded these gemstones in, you see him kind of wave a hand over them, and each one of them glows a slightly different color. They're all shades of green, and he begins kind of plucking almost strands of light, kind of pulling them across one another, forming what looks like a lattice with this magical energy that is flowing in the air. He closes up the crevice and places a hand over the sigil, which begins to glow brightly. As it does, the entire obelisk begins to kind of shake and hum. It's kind of a medium pitch, like a... And as it hums, it grows louder and louder and begins to kind of reverberate in the room. A few of the professors kind of like cover their ears a little bit as it is almost offensively loud. And their old ears especially are a little bit sensitive to it. But eventually, the humming dims and dies down, and very quickly, Argenis kind of opens back up that little crevice and looks inside, and that lattice has rearranged itself, and that lattice now reflects vaguely what you can recognize as the shape of Eluvin. And you can see 10 dots. 11, actually. 10 of them kind of where you would expect. One of them is where you are. Sorry, 2 of them are where you are. One of them is kind of in the middle of what looks like the Great Dain River. One of them is east of that, near Aquilea, but a little bit further to the west. And the others reflect the other locations of the Relic Weapons that you already know. And then the final one is weaker, and it's just kind of out in the southeast of you a little bit. It doesn't... I guess none of these are exact locations, really. It's more like a beam of light, like if you put 2 pins in a map and stretched a line between them, you kind of get that line pointing in a direction. Some of them do terminate where you might expect, but this 11th one does not. It just kind of goes off the lattice. Argenis kind of looks back at you and says, "There you have it. That's the divining rod in use."
What?
Oh.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is amazing. Oh my god.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how applicable it is to other things. I don't know if we could find just anything with it. I've dropped my accent. I'm very sorry. I'll pick it back up now.
Yeah. Take time. Take your time.
These relic weapons having such a unique signature, it makes it easier to find them. Other things, they don't bend reality the same way. For instance, I don't think I could find a singular person or a book or a cart. But these,
Yeah.
they're unique enough that we can find the disturbances they make in the magical fields in this world.
What? What could that one be?
I wonder, do you have what? Do you have both of the weapons you found?
Yes.
Yeah.
Could I?
Sold him.
Could I borrow them?
Define borrow.
Uh, 2 days to run some tests? Let me be a little more forthright. My expectation is that the weapons all have their singular frequency, but whatever this other thing is that the divining rod can't quite get, I think that it might be like a beat, like a little bit different frequency, just ever so slightly. And I don't have the materials to test it enough times to really hone in on that theory. But I could at least confirm the first part of it if I used those two to make sure that they were exactly the same. Does that make sense?
It does.
It would rule out the idea that there was an 11th weapon. Because as
Yeah.
you probably saw, that other line was fainter.
It was. It was.
How faint was it?
Intensity-wise, you'd say it was maybe half as bright as the lines that seemed to be going to relic weapons.
And it was just going off east, or was it
Southeast.
southeast?
Just gonna look at Jeff.
Hmm.
In fact, do you have an annulus with you?
Do we? I
Do
don't.
we?
So, you do, actually. Because the annulus... So I could be wrong about this, but I don't think you all ever actually told the Ulvari that you had the annulus.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
So the way you opened the door, while valid, was only one of two possible options. So you still would have had to go through the trials, but making the soulstone was in fact optional. But since the Ulvari didn't know you had the annulus, they thought it was the only way. So you never actually used the annulus that was keyed to the door that Ortiarch was behind.
Good.
Oh shit! Sequence breaking!
So you do have an annulus.
We do.
We do.
I
we
guess
do
we
have
can
one of
show
those.
that one to him. I don't mind that as much.
Hoarding
Yeah.
things.
So I could borrow that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean,
borrow
that'd
this
be great.
one.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Because now it has me thinking.
Thinking.
These aren't, well, they don't seem to be magical. But in my experience, I've seen things that hide their magical nature.
Mm.
They don't appear to divination magic.
Just a nice scratcher.
I wonder if that's what this is. It would make sense, because it seems like you couldn't forge an annulus and use it as a key. There's some connection between the annulus and the weapon.
Yeah.
So if these are magical, and just hidden by some divination shielding, and I can crack it, I could find its frequency, and perhaps the other line is an annulus. An annulus whose divination shielding is failing. It's just a hunch, but it might work.
That's
It's
as
just
good
crazy
a
enough
hunch
to
as
work.
any.
I'd be okay with letting him study the annulus.
Yeah.
I thank you. If it pans out, it could mean a great deal easier life for you.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd have the locations of the annulus and the weapons.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm
That would be
all
very
for
useful.
figuring that out. That would be very useful.
Maybe in the interim, while he's studying it, we can go let our boy Nair know that we've got some friends coming and don't kill them, please, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah.
So armed with this new information and ready to set out and update Nair on the situation of things, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the evening.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Alrighty. Well, I'm sorry there was no combat, Jeff. We'll probably get some in next session.
It's okay.
What?
I fought the dance floor and the dance floor one, so.
Indeed, that's true. But okay. So,
Sounds the tune of I Fought the Law.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us tonight for this episode of BionDnD. We'll see you next week when I might have the ability to stop the stream without getting up and walking over and disappearing from the camera. But until then, may all your rolls be lucky.